Listen to this. Movie from 1981.
But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks, and it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no? See, I keep meeting these people. I mean, just a few days ago, I met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he told me that he no longer watches television, he doesn't read newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. And when I was at Findhorn, I met this extraordinary English tree expert who had devoted his life to saving trees. Just got back from Washington, lobbying to save the redwoods. He's 84 years old. He always travels with a backpack because he never knows where he's going to be tomorrow. And when I met him at Findhorn, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." He said, "New York, yes, that's a very interesting place. Do you know a lot of New Yorkers who keep talking about the fact that they want to leave but never do?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "Why do you think they don't leave?" I gave him different banal theories. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all." He said, "I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison." And then he went into his pocket and he took out a seed for a tree and he said, "This is a pine tree." He put it in my hand and he said, "Escape before it's too late." See, actually for 2 or 3 years now, Chiquita and I have had this very unpleasant feeling that we really should get out. And we really should feel like Jews in Germany in the late 30s. Get out of here. Of course, the problem is where to go, because it seems quite obvious that the whole world is going in the same direction. See, I think it's quite possible that the 1960s represented the last burst of the human being before he was extinguished, and that this is the beginning of the rest of the future now, that from now on there'll simply be all these robots walking around, feeling nothing, thinking nothing, and there'll be nobody left almost to remind them that there once was a species called a human being, with feelings and thoughts, and that history and memory are right now being erased, and soon nobody will really remember that life existed on the planet.
I was just offered $400 to make an anti-Donald Trump propaganda post related to the January 6th investigation that is completely not true. I should start out this video by saying I'm not a Donald Trump supporter, so that should give a little bit of context to where I'm coming from. I'm an attorney. I post legal news and analysis on related topics. Okay, here we go with the story. So first thing first, I get an email from somebody with the Good Info Foundation. We'll talk about them a little more in a minute. I'm going to refer to this person as Jane. Jane sent me a message letting me know she represented the Good Info Foundation and that she was willing to offer a paid collaboration to discuss some topics related to January 6th. I said, sure, why not? I'll learn some more. Jane says the Good Info Foundation will give me $400 to make a post on my page and then share it to Instagram. So you see that blue link? All right, here we're going to follow it. These are the specific requirements in order to obtain that $400 of how I should refer to the January 6th Capitol raid. Number 1, I must call this a criminal conspiracy. Number 2, I must say Trump Republicans were responsible. Number 3, I must frame it as an attack on my country, an attack on America or Americans, a criminal conspiracy, and a committed crime. I must attribute the matter to MAGA Republicans. I must make clear that this was ongoing and unresolved. And most importantly, that I must channel all of this unto the manipulation of voter agencies so that I could turn their anger around this event into defiance that would make people more likely to vote in midterms. And the thing that struck me the most was this part, where I was told to talk about the aspects of the Trump campaign's plan. And I was supposed to say that the Trump campaign paid literally millions of dollars to make January 6th happen. So I figured, maybe I missed something. So I said, hey, Jane, what is the basis for the claim that the Trump campaign itself paid millions of dollars to make the January 6th siege of the Capitol happen? Jane doesn't answer the question. Hi, Preston. If you don't want to state that in the video, it's fine. You don't have to use all the bullet points provided. So I kept going. Sure, I'm just wondering if there's support for that claim. Jane doesn't answer again. Let me know if you are interested and the rate works for you. Thanks so much. I'm not interested and the rate doesn't work for me. This is the Good Info Foundation. They boast on their homepage that good information is the lifeblood of a democracy.
I don't know how I'm going to get across. I'm going to get my... Look, my trousers are getting dirty. Look at the state of my feet. I've got to try and get over there.
So even though you might not know who this guy is, he is a couple hours from being at the center of national news. His name is Raymond Joseph Deary. He's a senior judge at the Eastern District of New York, and he has just been appointed the sole individual special master that will be responsible for going document by document through each of the documents taken from Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. Interesting for so many reasons. I'm going to give you two of them. Number one, this judge, before he was a judge at the Eastern District, had 7 years experience sitting as a judge on what is called the United States Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. If that feels like a super classified sort of thing, that's because it is. Because the United States Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court is literally the ones responsible for reviewing government applications for surveillance warrants against people that are suspected or confirmed to be foreign spies, like Russian, Chinese spies, that are currently living in the United States, that the federal government for national security reasons is electing to allow to live in the United States rather than deporting back to their home country, or arresting and processing through a special military court. So needless to say, this guy has a lot of experience dealing with super classified stuff. Second reason this is really interesting, and by the way, why I am going to commend the court in its choice of appointing this judge as special master. This was one of the 2 requests for special master that Donald Trump put forward. And what we see here is the court doing everything that it can to protect the court's legitimacy. District Court Judge Cannon has no say over what case winds up in her division. And ultimately, look at what she's done at each step of this process. The government said, don't release an affidavit. It's going to be too redacted. She pumps out the affidavit. The government says, allow us to keep looking at the documents we seize. The court enjoins it, stops it from happening. Later on, the court releases an even less redacted copy of the same affidavit. And then when it came time to pick a special master, she elected to choose one of Trump's choices. In an unprecedented case like this, where the concerns of political prosecution are high, this district court judge is doing everything that she can to protect not only legitimacy, but the perception of legitimacy. Both are interesting things. For more news and legal analysis, be sure to like and follow.
Creep on in, on in, on in.
A guy on Twitter just revealed software that can take an Instagram photo and use AI to search open cameras in a location to see if they can find the video of you taking the photo on that day. So the guy who created Die With Me, which is that chat app you can only use when you have less than 5% battery, just unveiled this software where you give it like the Instagram photo on the left, and on the right you see this AI searching through a bunch of open cameras all around the world to see if they can find the people in the photo with the proper location and give you the video of the photo actually being taken. I personally think this is brilliant. This must have been so hard to put together. The effect is fantastic, and it's a great way to remind people that you are constantly being watched, and so much more of your information is out there than you think. Also, it's way easier to find your location at all times than you think. Check out his Twitter. He's got a YouTube video on it if you want to learn more about it. He also has a way to support his page. But yeah, I think this is dope and terrifying.
My lords and members of the House of Commons, I am deeply grateful for the addresses of condolence by the House of Lords and the House of Commons, which so touchingly encompass what our late sovereign, my beloved mother, the Queen, meant to us all. But I'd like to make one thing straight. Charlie's in fucking charge now, and shit's about to get fucking real. As I stand before you today, I'd like to address some of the tyrannical shit I'm going to do as king. First off, America, we're taking you back. You cunts have been free for far too long. I will not have it. Australia, you're going to become a massive fuck-off prison again. Fuck you cunts. India, you're safe. We don't really want you back anyway. Also, I'm bringing that thing back where, like, the king gets to fuck your wife the day you get married, if he wants to. That was a cool rule. Anyway, cunts, adios. I'm out of here.
So, this is happening. And it's not at the owner's request, because that's me. Hate to think the worst, but definitely worried and pissed.
Just a quick PSA for everybody. Remember, it's never a bad idea to make sure you have a full tank of gas, plenty of fresh drinking water, and non-perishable food items. I'm not making any predictions or saying anything's going to happen, but when the CFO of Bed Bath & Beyond throws himself off a building and the CEO of Luke Oil falls out a window, the railroad unions are still kind of threatening to strike, and the stock market's going down quicker than a Catholic girl on prom night. Probably be a good idea to, go grocery shopping in the gas station. Just make sure you're all stocked up. And it's interesting that when all of this stuff is happening, they rushed the Orange Man to Washington, D.C. in a panic frenzy. Everybody thinks that has something to do with the investigation. But what if it had something to do with him fixing the economy? I don't know. Maybe. It's a theory. But remember, happiness is not the absence of problems. Happiness is the ability to easily deal with problems. So make sure you stock up, just in case shit hits the fan.
In 2007, the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Homeland Security funded a proposed project to aerial spray over 7 million people in urban areas of Northern California. After citizens organized against the plan, officials were forced to reveal that the spray included multiple toxins that can cause disease and disrupt the reproductive cycle. Fortunately, civil resistance stopped the project. The U.S. government has been caught over 30 times covertly experimenting with toxic chemicals on its own citizens, from soldiers, prisoners, and Native American reservations to entire towns and counties. Mass covert sterilization of women and girls, usually using secret additives to vaccines, has been exposed in Brazil, Puerto Rico, Nicaragua, Mexico, and the Philippines. These have been under the auspices of such programs as John D. Rockefeller's Population Council, the U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, where Nelson Rockefeller was undersecretary, and the Rockefeller-founded World Health Organization. Novartis and Syngenta, in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Department of Defense, have field-tested a spermicidal strain of GMO corn that would render male consumers infertile. This was quietly announced as a contribution to the world overpopulation problem. The list goes on and on. Right now, global human fertility is plunging. I'm convinced that this is no accident. For me, being willing to consider and research a direct depopulation agenda was critical to my getting the whole picture and to generating responses that could be sufficient to the task we face. I know this may sound crazy, but imagine that it's 1932 and we're in Germany. If I told you that in the next decade millions of people would be exterminated,